There comes a moment in life no one ever prepares you for. It's not when you first become a parent. It's when you realize that role is slowly starting to change. You were once the person your child ran to for advice, the one they clung to when they were sick, scared, or unsure. You were the center of their world, but now something feels different. Maybe you've quietly noticed they no longer ask for your opinion. They don't call as often. When you speak, they don't really listen. When you offer advice, they laugh, shrug it off, or worse, say you're outdated or that you don't get it, and suddenly you feel invisible. This feeling doesn't arrive all at once. It creeps in, like a soft breeze during quiet dinners, short phone calls, or the way they avoid eye contact. You begin to ask yourself, did I do something wrong? Did I not raise them well enough? Does my love no longer mean anything to them? If you're feeling this way, you're not alone. Many parents, especially those over 60, are quietly living through the same heartbreak, being dismissed, being overlooked, no longer being heard. And what makes it hurt even more is knowing how much you've given up for them. You've skipped meals so they could eat, stayed awake through the night by their bedside, set aside your own dreams to make way for theirs. You never kept score. You just loved, and you believed your love would always be enough to earn their respect. But now you feel like a stranger in your own family. You may have tried to change, become softer, more patient, even silent, just to keep the peace. But the more you gave in, the more they stepped over your boundaries. Maybe you've gotten angry, maybe you've cried, maybe you've asked, am I not important to you anymore? And still, your questions were met with silence. So what do? When your child no longer respects you, should you blame them, cut off communication, or continue to endure quietly? The answer is no, because there is a better way, a healing way, a way that's strong yet gentle, one that doesn't require begging, yelling, or hurting yourself in the process. Instead, it's about reclaiming respect by standing in the quiet strength of your own self-worth. With 6 powerful yet tender actions, you can shift how your child sees you, not with lectures, but with dignity, grace, and presence. In today's video, we will walk through each of these 6 actions, and I truly believe if you listen with an open heart, you will find your way back into a space of respect, not just in their lives, but in their hearts. Before we begin, take a deep breath. And please remember, you are not weak, you are not outdated, and you are not a burden. You are the foundation upon which your child built their life. You deserve to be respected, and you can reclaim it in a kind, steady, and lasting way. Let's begin this journey right now. One of the most common mistakes many aging parents make is trying too hard to please their adult children, hoping that in doing so, they'll be loved and respected like before. But the sad irony is, the more you try to please, the more likely you are to lose their respect. Have you ever found yourself in situations like these? Your child asks you to watch the grandkids. You cancel your coffee date with a friend. They haven't called all week. You text them first. They snap at you. You stay quiet, push aside your feelings, and try to smooth things over. You think that by being patient and agreeable, everything will stay peaceful. But over time, too much self-sacrifice makes you invisible. You begin to lose your voice. You lose the right to express your emotions. You lose your place as an equal member in your own family. Margaret, a woman I once spoke with, said, "I no longer share my thoughts with my kids. I just want to keep the peace." But what was the cost of that peace? Her children stopped asking for her opinion. They made decisions and informed her later. They treated her more like a live-in babysitter, always available, never allowed to complain. Remember this: kindness should not become self-erasure. Love should not turn into silent endurance. Instead, learn to say no. Speak your feelings, calmly and clearly. Show that you have boundaries, value, and a right to be respected. When you constantly ignore your own needs to accommodate your children's wishes, it's not love, it's enabling. And it teaches them that your comfort is optional. You can begin with small shifts. Instead of canceling your plans, say, "I already have something scheduled. Maybe next time I can help." If your child speaks harshly, respond firmly but gently. "I don't feel respected when you speak to me that way." This doesn't make you a difficult parent. It makes you someone who knows their worth, and that quiet change inside you sends a powerful message. I deserve to be heard. I deserve to be respected. When you begin to honor your own needs, you'll notice something magical. Your children's behavior may shift, but more importantly, you will shift. You will feel more confident, more secure, and most of all, more at peace. And if they push back at first, don't worry. Your steady, loving firmness will teach them the most important lesson, that their parent still loves them deeply, but will no longer disappear to prove it. You remember those moments when your child yelled, dismissed you, or said something hurtful, and your first reaction was to defend yourself, to argue, to try and prove, I'm still your parent, and I deserve respect. But have you noticed, the more you argue, the more distance grows? The truth is, respect can't be won in a shouting match, and it can't be kept through emotional battles. As children grow up, they develop their own views, choices, and independence. That doesn't mean your role is gone, it just means it's time to shift how you express it. Instead of arguing to prove your point, show your wisdom in how you live. Because the more composed you are, the more your child will see your strength, not in your words, but in your presence. I met a father named Mr. Min. He used to be a respected high school principal, firm and well-regarded. But after retirement, he felt invisible in his own home. His now successful son often dismissed his advice, even mocked him. Dad, times have changed. You just don't get it. At first, Mr. Min would argue back, raise his voice, demand respect. But that only pushed his son further away. Eventually, he stopped arguing. He listened, and when his son criticized him, he calmly said, I understand you have your own way. I speak only from love. You don't have to agree, just reflect. Over time, his son changed. He grew softer. He began asking questions, and eventually, he listened. You see, calm presence is more powerful than sharp words. Being a role model doesn't just mean giving advice. It means showing grace, humility, and maturity. When you carry yourself with quiet dignity, you don't need to demand respect. People offer it willingly. Remember, you don't need to win every conversation. You only need to win at keeping your peace. When you stay grounded, your child will see. You're not trying to win, because you've already won something far greater, self-respect. And one day, when life knocks them down and they need someone to turn to, you'll be the first person they think of. Not because you were always right, but because you were always steady. One quiet reason many parents lose their child's respect is this: they unknowingly place the weight of their emotional well-being on their children. Now, it's natural to crave love and connection, especially from the very people we spend our lives nurturing. But when your children become the only source of your joy or peace, you give them an unconscious power to hurt you, to ignore you, or to disconnect without warning. You might not realize it, but sometimes love turns into emotional dependency. You check your phone every hour to see if they've messaged. Your heart aches when they miss dinner. You feel empty when an entire day goes by without a call. Mrs. Hoa is one example. After retirement, she felt lonely. Her children had their own families and demanding careers. She clung to every little moment just to feel close. If a message was delayed, she called. If they didn't visit, she sighed and complained. She'd start conversations with, I miss you so much, or why don't you care like you used to? Her words came from a place of love. But over time, her children began to feel pressure. Phone calls became shorter, visits felt strained, and Mrs. Hoa became even lonelier. Until one day, she decided to change. She signed up for a morning exercise group, joined a baking class, spent Saturdays at the theater with old friends. She no longer waited for her phone to ring, she was busy living. And something amazing happened. Her children began calling more. They asked how she was. They listened, because when she stopped leaning on them emotionally, she became a whole person again. Independent, interesting, inspiring. Family bonds should not be built on guilt, pressure, or emotional weight. The more your children feel obligated to make you happy, the more they'll pull away. Instead, show them, no matter how far they go, your life is still full, still beautiful. You don't need to do anything grand. Just live fully, not in hopes someone will fill your emptiness, but because your life is yours to enjoy. Imagine this. You're at a cozy cafe in the morning, sipping tea, reading a book. Your child calls unexpectedly. You smile and say, I'm reading the book you gave me. It's wonderful. That moment, it tells them you're not just their parent. You're a vibrant person with joy, depth and a life that inspires. And if you still feel lonely, that's okay too. Just don't place that burden on them. Write it in a journal, take a walk, call an old friend, or simply sit with yourself and say, I'm a little lonely today, but I'm still okay. Because you are. You've survived decades of challenges. You are worthy of love, even when no one calls. And when you learn to fill your heart without needing validation, you begin to shine in a way no one can ignore. Your child will notice, and this time not out of duty, but out of deep respect and admiration. Have you ever wondered, why does my child feel so comfortable yelling at me, at dismissing my words, or ignoring my feelings? The hard truth is, because you've allowed it too many times without speaking up. Out of love, many parents choose silence, but prolonged silence, especially in the face of disrespect, can lead to being taken for granted. Children, no matter how old, are still human, and humans naturally test limits. If you never draw the line, they will keep crossing it. Imagine kindness as a house. Without a fence, anyone can walk in, step on your garden, sit on your sofa, and leave, without ever knocking. You may smile, but inside, you feel hollow. Mr. Fat, a retired executive, was once respected by hundreds at his company. Yet at home, his grown son regularly yelled at him, cut him off in conversation, and even shouted, "Stop lecturing me, Dad. I don't need your advice." At first, Mr. Fat stayed silent, thinking, he's still young, he'll grow out of it. But his son was already 35. One evening, during dinner, his son snapped again, speaking rudely and swatting away Mr. Fat's hand as he poured tea. This time, Mr. Fat didn't stay quiet. He looked him in the eye and said calmly but firmly, "I once led hundreds of people with composure and respect. If you can't speak to me with basic courtesy, then maybe this dinner should end here." The room fell silent. His son didn't expect it. But it wasn't anger, it was a boundary. From that day on, things changed. Not because of fear, but because his son finally understood. Kindness is not the same as weakness. And love does not mean accepting disrespect. Setting boundaries doesn't mean causing conflict. It means showing others the limits of your self-respect. You can start with simple, calm statements. You don't have to agree, but I expect to be spoken to respectfully. If you raise your voice, I won't continue this conversation. I want to listen, but I won't accept being insulted. And then be consistent. If you say you won't tolerate it, but act as if nothing happened the next day, the boundary loses its meaning. At first, your child may resist. They may sulk, accuse you of being difficult, or say you don't care anymore. Be patient. You're teaching them how mature relationships work, and that takes time. Remember, you're not just protecting yourself. You're modeling respect for future generations. If your child doesn't learn respect from you, they may repeat the same behavior with others. And that ripple can hurt far beyond your home. Every parent wants to give. Time, energy, money, care, love, sacrifice. It's in your nature. It's in your heart. But if you continue to give without boundaries, if you're never acknowledged, never appreciated, you will eventually feel exhausted, disappointed, and invisible. Here's a truth that may sting. The more you give without expecting respect, the more your children may start to take you for granted. You might hear them say, "It's normal for mom to help," or "Dad doesn't have anything else to do, he can babysit." You might smile on the outside, but inside it hurts because your kindness is being reduced to a duty. I once met Mai, a devoted mother. She was always available, babysitting, cleaning, cooking, never once complained. But when she fell ill and couldn't get out of bed for a few days, no one called, no one visited. She cried, not from pain, but from the crushing realization that she no longer mattered. So she changed. She started saying no to last-minute demands. She asked her children to share responsibilities, and most importantly, she only helped when it was met with gratitude. At first, they pushed back. They called her selfish, distant, but over time, they learned to say thank you. They started scheduling things better. They became more independent. Because when help is respected, it becomes a gift. When it's expected, it becomes a burden. You don't have to stop loving, but you have every right to love with boundaries. You are not selfish for wanting appreciation. You are teaching your children one of the greatest life lessons, to value what is freely given. Try saying, "I'm happy to help if you truly need it and appreciate it. I'll assist if I'm free, but I have my own plans too. I need some rest today. Can you handle things on your own?" These are not harsh words. They are empowering. They show that you are a kind, capable adult, not someone to be used or overlooked. And when you need help someday, those who truly respect you will show up. Not out of obligation, but out of genuine love. One of the biggest mistakes older parents make is this. They build their entire world around their children. After retirement, when the house gets quieter, it's easy to pour all your time, energy, and emotion into your kids. You think, they're all I have left. But that belief slowly turns you into someone who has no life of their own. And that emotional dependence can lead to being seen as a shadow, always there, always waiting, never living. The truth is, people only respect those who have lives of their own. When your child sees that you're still happy, vibrant, and fulfilled, they won't pity you, they'll admire you. I once met Miss 2, a widow for over 10 years. She lived alone in a small town. She used to feel so lonely. If her kids didn't call, she couldn't sleep. If no one visited on the weekend, her heart ached with emptiness. But after a health scare, she had a realization. If I don't live for me, no one else can live for me. She started small. She cleaned up her garden, took morning walks, joined a yoga class for seniors, learned to play a musical instrument at the community center. And something unexpected happened. Her children began calling more. They wanted to share their stories. They looked forward to hearing about her new hobbies. Because she was no longer just their mom, she was an inspiring woman with a full, beautiful life. When you live independently, you don't just find more happiness, you bring more light into every relationship you have. Ask yourself, what can I live for beyond my children? The answer? So many things. Maybe you love to paint, but life got in the way. Maybe you wanted to travel, but never had time. Maybe you've always loved gardening, poetry, classical music, baking. Age is not a barrier. As long as your heart is beating, it's never too late to find joy. When you begin living fully, you send this message to the world. I love life. I don't need anyone to define my worth, but I welcome those who want to walk beside me. And your children, they'll come back. Not out of guilt, but because they admire who you've become. There is nothing more beautiful than a parent who glows from within, even when life has etched its lines upon their face. Want to start today? Create a weekly Live For Me calendar, books, walks, coffee with friends. Write down the dreams you once had but never pursued. Sign up for a class, cooking, dancing, painting, languages. Join community activities, volunteering, helping others, teaching. Start making plans, big or small, and follow through. The more alive you are, the more your children will want to be near you. The more fulfilled you are, the more proud they'll be to call you their parent. And the more you embrace your true self, the more you'll regain what you deeply deserve. Respect. Not because you asked for it, but because you became the truest, brightest version of yourself. Dear friend, when your child no longer respects you, it's not the end of your story. It's a reminder that it's time to change the way you love, change the way you live, and most of all, change how you see yourself. We've just walked through 6 powerful ways to reclaim your place in your child's heart. 1. Don't chase approval. Start by loving yourself first. 2. Don't argue. Lead through calm presence and dignity. 3. Let go of emotional dependency. You are worthy on your own. 4. Set clear boundaries. Show others where your self-respect begins. 5. Don't give endlessly. Kindness needs appreciation to thrive. 6. Build a life of your own. Joy grows from within, not from validation. If you've ever felt forgotten, dismissed, or quietly cried over your child's silence, today you can begin again. Not to demand anything, but to rise in your own worth. You don't need to shout to be heard. You don't need to shrink to be loved. You just need to live with dignity, healthy love, and a heart that knows what it deserves. And one day your child will look at you and say, "You didn't just teach me with words, you taught me with the way you lived." Be the parent who is never forgotten, not because you begged for love, but because your inner light made it impossible to look away. If this message touched your heart, leave a comment below. Share a moment, a feeling, or a small change you want to start today. Don't forget to spread this healing message to others who may need it. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss our next story of healing and hope. We are here for you. To walk beside you, to listen, and to remind you, you are worthy of love. Not because you're perfect, but because you are you. Thank you for being here. We'll see you in the next video.